Hi, my name is Christian Bassnight and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Jasmine Paolini won her second WTA title in first 1000 this past weekend on Saturday in Dubai, coming from behind to down qualifier Anna Kalinskaya 4-6, 7-5, 7-5. Talking about this final, honestly, Kalinskaya was the better player for a lot of the match. She led Jasmine 6-4, 3-1, and she was up a break for a good portion of the decider and even served for the match. Kalinskaya's game, though, fell apart at the end when she did try to serve for it. Clearly, the nerves got to her when she tried to serve it out, as she made 4 poor consecutive unforced errors to give Jasmine a second life. The moral of the story, really, from this match was just never give up. Jasmine not only had to fight her tail off in this final, but she had to overcome quite a bit of adversity throughout the entire tournament. This was a well-earned tournament victory for Paolini. In her opening round match against 11th seed Beatriz Haddad Maia, she was down 4-6, 2-4, 15-40 in that opening round, and then she came back, of course, to win, I think, the next 10 games of the match, and then she beat both Maria Sakkari and Leylah Fernandez in straight sets, but she had to recover from a breakdown in both of those sets in those matches. She then saved 6 set points in her semifinal encounter versus Sorana Cîrstea, and of course, she had to overcome a lot of adversity here against Kalinskaya in the championship. Paolini has been making a lot of strides for a minute now, so this win might come as a surprise to many people if you don't follow the tour that closely or follow her that closely. But if you've been following Paolini for the last year like I have, you know that a big result like this was on the horizon. I knew that she'd be poised for a big 2024 when I saw her play at the United Cup at the start of the year, where she just absolutely came back. I think she was cramping too, and she just whipped forehand winners and backhand winners against her opening round match against Kerber. I predicted then that she'd crack the top 20 this year, and that's exactly what she did after this week. Paolini is currently sitting at a career high of number 14 in the world, and Kalinskaya, meanwhile, is 24th in the world. Paolini is a short woman. She's only 5'4", but she hits the crap out that ball. She packs a big punch. Paolini's forehand is incredible. It's one of the best forehands on tour that we have at the moment. And it was just, speaking about the tennis from both women, really, this final was unbelievable. Both women showcased incredible ball striking and were hitting with a lot of pace and depth on their shots, which made for some jaw-dropping exchanges from the ground. Really, what I thought about while watching this final is just the influence of the Williams sisters, because before then, there were only a handful of players who were hitting with like consistent power on their ground strokes. But nowadays, it seems like every woman knows how to crack that ball, step up and hit that ball really hard from the ground. And that's what we saw today in this final. It honestly kind of wasn't too far off from the Doha final between Swiatek and Rybakina, who are known big hitters. Paolini's raw athleticism and ball striking abilities, combined with Kalinskaya's raw power and ball striking, made for an incredible final. And I honestly think right now it is match of the year, and it probably will end up being at least top 10 match of the year, WTA match of the year in 2024 by the end of the year. Now, talking briefly about Anna Kalinskaya, she had an unbelievable week. She came through qualifying and she beat 3 top 10 players in a row in Ostapenko, Gauff, and Swiatek. Possibly, she ran out of gas towards the end, having to play more matches than Paolini, which is very understandable. I feel like she also would have been a very deserving title victor had she had come through. She also had a great run to the Australian Open quarterfinals, where she took down Paolini in the 4th round route there. And Anna, honestly, she had a 7-match win streak against black players prior to this final. So, showing a little bit of bias, I am glad that Paolini was able to break the streak just in time before Black History Month ended. Kalinskaya actually got on my radar when she took down a black player in Sloane Stephens at the US Open first round back in 2019. I was impressed by her game there. She's a very talented player. As I aforementioned, she's a big ball striker, and her ground strokes and overall game really reminds me of Amanda Anisimova, especially her forehand take back and strokes, how kind of short take back but yet flat but effective forehand. She's been impeded by injury, Kalinskaya has, but throughout a lot of her career, and it's taken her a minute to kind of start making consistent runs on the tour. But she's had to put in the work, and she definitely has done that. She hasn't been gifted really a lot of walk cards, so she's had to grind through a lot of qualifying rounds like she did in Dubai in order to come through to play players on these big stages. I feel like her maiden tour title is coming very, very soon. Now back to Jasmine. As aforementioned, this is her second WTA title. Her first came in 2021 at the Hamburg 250. So this title is a major step up for her, and this is by far her biggest crowning achievement. Paolini is 28, so she is not a young player, but she did get a mention in my most improved WTA players of 2023 video due to her upward trajectory. She's been on a steady rise for the past year or so, and I am curious about whether she'll continue to rise and reach even greater heights this year. I feel like that's going to be the question of the day for this video. Will Paolini become a consistent top 20 fixture this season, and can she crack the top 10? I wonder, let me know y'all's thoughts in the comments below. I honestly think she can. I think ranking-wise, this will give her a major boost because if she can stay within the top 16, she'll have better draws in the bigger tournaments, especially the slams. She won't have to face tough players early on as she did last year, which kind of prevented her from making bigger strides in the bigger tournaments. Now, this will also be rare air for Paolini because now she's a top 15 player, so the expectations and pressure for her will rise. You know, there'll be questions of will she wobble with this pressure. I am interested to see how things play out for her, but regardless, just focusing on this win for her. Congratulations, Jasmine. Very well deserved. Now, briefly giving my thoughts on how the big four, Swiatek, Sabalenka, Gauff, and Rybakina performed in the Middle East. First, starting with Iga, she obviously performed the best out of the four as she won Doha for the third straight time, and then she made the Dubai semifinals. She really wants to win everything, so she will be disappointed that she was not able to come out on top in that semifinal against Kalinskaya. However, you cannot win it all. And Kalinskaya, honestly, I feel like she kind of exposed and solidified a fact that Iga definitely, she's more vulnerable on the faster courts against hard-hitting opponents. When you look back at her previous losses on the faster courts, of course, the Australian Open, those Kovac, she kind of took the ball early. She's a great ball striker. Iga nearly fell to Danielle Collins, and she fell to her in 2022 pretty convincingly in the semifinals. And then Yelena Ostapenko took her down at the U.S. Open 4th round. So definitely, you know, that's going to be one of Iga's biggest hurdles that she has to overcome throughout her career. She is still very young, only 22 years old, so, you know, not really a big cause for concern for her, but, you know, something to keep in mind. Sabalenka will definitely be disappointed with her opening round loss to Vekic here in Dubai. I think she had a point to go up a set and a break in that match, and I think she would have come through had she played Doha a week prior, but instead she got a bag and fixed her teeth. She got a new teeth job. I'm not too concerned about her, to be honest, because it's a bit of a trend that the women who did perform well in Melbourne and went deep at the Australian Open, they didn't perform their best in the Middle East swing, which makes sense. Gauff, she fell early in Doha, and she had a much better performance in Dubai, beating the red-hot Pliskova before losing to eventual finalist Kalinskaya in the quarterfinals. Rybakina will be pretty pleased, I think, with her performance in the Middle East. She racked up another 500 title in Abu Dhabi, and she made the finals of Doha, which she really could have won, but she fumbled the opening set against Swiatek. She withdrew from the Dubai quarterfinals against eventual champ Paolini due to a gastrointestinal illness, but overall, she racked up some good points, which was much needed for her as she's going to be defending a lot in this upcoming Sunshine Double. We now move on to the Americas for the next 6 weeks on the WTA Tour. Currently, we have the Austin 250 and San Diego 500 being played. Pegula is the top seed in San Diego. She had a rough start to her season, losing early in Melbourne, and then she skipped the Middle East due to a neck injury and split with her kind of longtime coach David Witt, who actually earned Coach of the Year in 2022. I'm intrigued to see how she rebounds this week. And then also making his return for the first time since the Australian Open is finalist Daniil Medvedev, who was unable to defend his Rotterdam title this past week, or last week, a few weeks ago, due to fatigue from those Melbourne Marathon matches. Daniil is also the defending champion here in Dubai, but his draw looks very challenging. He opens against former compatriot Alexander Shevchenko, who nearly beat him in Madrid last year. A few players had to grind to round 2, including new tiebreak king Hubie Hurkacz, as well as Andy Murray, who notched his 500 hardcourt victory with a comeback win over Denis Shapovalov. The ATP 500 in Acapulco is pretty stacked, with top seeds Zverev and Rune being accompanied by defending champion Alexei Minor and then Stefanos Tsitsipas and Casper Ruud, among other big names. While on the topic of 500s, I want to congratulate Sebastian Baez for winning the Rio Open for his 5th ATP Tour title and biggest to date. Baez took down countryman Mariano Navone in the final, who Novone actually hadn't even won a tour level match prior to this tournament. The 22-year-old Argentine started the tournament ranked outside the top 110 and is now enjoying a career high of 57 in the world. In the quarterfinals, Novone took down perhaps the story of the tournament in Joao Fonseca. The 17-year-old Brazilian dazzled his home fans with huge, fearless tennis to claim wins over Arthur Felix and Christian Garin. Fonseca made history by becoming the first player born in 2006 to win an ATP main draw tour level match. The reigning US Open Boys champion rose over 300 spots in the rankings to number 343. Fonseca will definitely be a force on the tour in the coming years. His game is huge, his forehand is huge, and he has a lot of charisma too. And coming from Brazil, I think he has a lot of potential to bring in a whole new crop of tennis fans. So I'm very excited to see how he rises this year and in the coming years. Now, another young gun, Jakub Mensik, made waves this past week. The 18-year-old Czech reached his first ATP final in Doha, taking out Andrei Rublev, Alejandro Davidovich Fokina, and Andy Murray, and Gael Monfils en route to his maiden final. That win over Rublev in the quarterfinals made Mensik the youngest player to beat a top 5 opponent since Carlos Alcaraz toppled Stefanos Tsitsipas at the 2021 US Open. Jakub is now at a career high of 87 in the world. Meanwhile, American Alex Michelsen has also continued to make more big moves, coming off a quarterfinal showing in Los Cabos. The American captured his first top 10 win when he beat world number 9 Alex de Minaur in straight sets in the second round. Michelsen really could have gone further in this tournament as he fumbled a 6-love 4-1 40-15 lead over Jordan Thompson, who went on to claim his maiden ATP trophy in Los Cabos. That's all I have for this recap video, and let me know in the comments your thoughts on the Paolini-Kalinskaya final and whether you think we'll be seeing more of these two ladies on the big stages. Also, who do you think will take home titles in the 500s this week? Make sure y'all subscribe and click the notification bell so you are notified whenever I post new content. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see y'all next time.